Hey everybody, Courtney Robinson here with 10 Tampa Bay, coming to you with a news alert. A federal judge here in Tampa has just struck down the national mask mandate for public transportation. So that covers, of course, airports, buses, trains, all of that, which has been in place and had been extended through May 3rd. So again, this federal judge for the Middle District voiding that national mask mandate and saying that the government, that the CDC improperly failed to justify its decision and did not follow proper rulemaking. So at this point, with this ruling, we have, the national mask mandate for public transportation voided, and that happening here again in Tampa with the U.S. Middle District of Florida. And that judge, Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell, just to give you some background, she was appointed in November 2020, confirmed by the Senate, but was appointed by President Trump. Again, coming in with a major ruling that's not just going to impact Tampa Bay. You're obviously taking a look at Tampa International Airport here, but it's going to impact our entire country when it comes to all airports, all airlines, and when it comes to buses and trains, all public transportation, metro, that sort of type of deal. The CDC, as I said, had extended that mask mandate in spite of many airlines lobbying to have it ended, saying that passengers can make their own decision if they want to wear masks or not. And her decision, it's interesting, just to kind of point out that, critics have said rather that, again, people are able to make their own decision, but also when it came to travelers, when we heard from these airlines that were again lobbying against the national mask mandate, they argued that there were effective air filters on modern airplanes to make the transmission of COVID-19 during a flight highly unlikely. And so this has been something that many have fought to kill, and this, of course, ending up in the Middle District of Florida, and the judge here in Tampa making a ruling that impacts our entire country, saying the mandate, national mask mandate for public transportation needs to end. It was set to expire on April 18th, and then the CDC went ahead and extended it through May 3rd. I'm looking down now because I wanted to see if you guys have any questions. A lot of people commenting here. Brenda's saying, glad we moved to North Carolina. I had to go to the ER this morning. Everyone had to be masked. Good. Let's hope that airlines drop the requirement as well. Sherry says yes. And then Diana on the other side says, let's hope that when you get COVID, you have caregivers that will care for you. Healthcare professionals deserve our respect. Wear a mask. And it should always be up to the individual, says Yanni, to decide. Both sides need to respect each other's decisions on if to mask or not, for what that's worth. I don't know if many of you fly or not, or use public transportation often. If you do, tell me what that's been like for you. Have you been upset or been appreciative of that mask mandate being in place? I'm interested to hear from all of you. As we've pointed out, this has been kind of a back and forth. It's become political, and many have argued that cases have fallen since the Omicron variant peaked in mid-January. We haven't seen quite a rise in the cases. But again, the ruling really from this judge said that the CDC improperly failed to justify the decision to extend that mask mandate on all public transportation. And not only that, they did not follow proper rulemaking. That coming from the judge here in Tampa. So what happens next? Well, that is yet to be seen. It's possible that the government could appeal, it usually goes to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. So it's possible that we could see an appeal in this case to keep that mask mandate in place. But at this point, the judge here in Tampa has voided that mask mandate when it comes to airlines and buses, trains, etc. We're working to find out right now, does that mean effective immediately that, if you go to the airport this evening, that you're not going to have to wear a mask? That's something that we're asking as well. And let me just go ahead and pull up, a live shot right here, as you see, of Tampa International Airport, a very, very busy airport. Hey, Stephen, Let me ask our newsroom too as well. Are we working to ask, hey, no more masks if I show up at the airport today? We're trying. Yeah, we're trying to find that out right now, and of course, what that means for all of you when it comes to getting on a Heart bus or any of our buses here, or taking a train, or of course getting on an airplane. So we are working on that right now, and also, of course, what happens next. Again, let me see if I can pull up all of your comments as well, because I know that you're all saying different things. Annie says, tell me this is a joke. It's not a joke. No, this federal judge in the Middle District of Florida, Judge Catherine Kemble Mizell, saying that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they did not follow proper rulemaking, and they improperly failed to justify the decision to extend that mask mandate on public transportation. Again, public transportation is the big thing, and whether airlines on their own could implement a mask mandate. Again, a question that we're asking as well. But at this point, certain states have rolled back rules requiring masks in restaurants and public settings, other indoor settings, and we haven't seen that dramatic rise in cases, which is what a lot of the critics to a mask mandate like this have argued. And then again, just because this is rolled back does not mean that you don't have to wear a mask if you don't, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. That would be completely your decision. Brenda actually says, I'm going to continue to wear mine. And Darlene responded, that's fine. No one has a problem with you wearing one. We'd like the same in return. So again, and then Chris saying it's about time. And let's see, others saying, yes, it's fine. And then some people saying, go judge shopping. Linda says, good luck with that. John says it only took 2 years. Pamela says, during a pandemic. Of course, that's the argument right there, is that many have said, we're not seeing the cases and people should be able to make their own decisions when it comes to masks. I can only share, the last time that I flew was probably a year ago. It was in July, flying with my daughter to Washington, D.C., and of course everybody had to wear a mask when you were in the airport, whether you're on the airplane, at all times, and I didn't experience any of the stuff that we've seen recently, with people being very upset about having that. Everyone had them on, and including my, at that point, 5-year-old daughter. Francine says it's ridiculous. Again, just to give you some background, if you're just joining us here on this feed, the big headline here is that a federal judge here in Tampa has just struck down the mask mandate for public transportation. So we're talking about planes, buses, trains, all of that, where the CDC had required masks when it came to public transportation while rolling back other mandates that had been in place. And so her striking this down, she in her decision said that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention improperly failed to justify the decision to extend that mask mandate for public transportation, and also did not follow proper rulemaking in doing so. There was, for months we've been telling you about airlines lobbying the federal government to end that mask mandate, citing a lot of things, saying that passengers can make their own decisions when it comes to masks. Specifically, this was the airlines who started this, and a lot of major airlines were the ones who spearheaded this. And then they also argued that the air filters on modern planes make transmission of the virus highly unlikely. That's what the carriers say. Again, this ruling is coming from a judge who was appointed in November of 2020. She was confirmed by the Senate. She was appointed by then President Donald Trump. When it comes to what happens next in this case, does that mean immediately when you go to the airport tonight or tomorrow morning that you're not going to have to wear a mask on your flight? That would be what this implies. But we're working to get that answer from Tampa International Airport, and as well as from the court as well, as to what this means. Will there be an appeal? Can the government appeal this? That is what we've seen in many cases when it comes to like vaccine mandates and that sort of thing. Specifically with the military, there have been appeals, and so this could go to likely it would be the 11th Circuit, I believe. That's typically what happens. Again, let me just refresh here and see if any of you are asking any questions. If you have questions about this, we are working, and once we get an answer. A lot of people, let's see, Cindy saying finally common sense and sound science. Others arguing that it's important that you wear a mask to respect healthcare professionals in preventing the spread of this virus. And then others saying masks don't stop the flu. Talking about the flu now. It's interesting. I don't know if you've ever, prior to the pandemic, flown and seen people wearing masks. I often did, and I just assumed that maybe that person had an illness and, something like the flu or a cold, and trying not to, when they cough, spread that. And, the back and forth about masks and what's been effective, we have talked about ad nauseum, and we have plenty of stories on our website, 10tampabay.com, verifying which masks are effective for which things. So you can go and look at those stories as well if you're interested. And then again, just many people saying it should be up to the individual, and people being happy that this decision was made, and then others, not so thrilled with it. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Looking through all of it, yeah, again, great news, ridiculous. People saying I'm going to continue to wear mine, and that's part of the argument that had been made by these airlines, was that an individual can make their own decision as to whether they want to wear a mask or not wear a mask. We've seen private businesses, but like schools, for example, private schools rolling back those and saying, with the numbers and with the transmission, we feel comfortable not having children wear masks, for example. And so that is kind of extended on, and saying, look at the numbers and look at this. Do we really need to continue with the masks if people don't feel comfortable and don't want to wear them? A lot of you just really weighing in on the masks. Any questions about this ruling? Again, here in our newsroom behind me and kind of all over, people are trying to figure out exactly what this means. Hey, Stephen, is there a way that you can print out the judge's ruling? I don't know if it's been posted yet. Sometimes it takes time to get that into Pacer, but I do know that just came down. So this is brand new, and again, we're trying to figure out exactly what this means when it comes to the CDC's mask mandate on public transportation, and this judge stepping in and voiding that and saying no. Does that mean effective immediately? And then, if that is effective immediately, and then this is appealed, and then another judge rules differently, then what happens? Putting that back into place, how does that work? What would that look like? That's been something that critics on the other side, proponents of mask wearing, have argued. Once you take it away, trying to get that back in place has been difficult. But we've seen other cities starting to put that back into place. Philadelphia, one of those cities, for example. But again, this is specific to public transportation, and you have right here this live look at Tampa International Airport. Our busy airport here in Tampa Bay, and so right now, as travelers are walking in, if you're at the airport right now, I'd love to know: are you being told to keep the mask on, or has it popped there yet? While we do that, I'm going to give you a full view of that and see if I can, just reach out to some of our contacts at Tampa International Airport and see if I can get a quick answer. just asking if masks are immediately no longer required at Tampa International Airport following this ruling from this judge in the Middle District of Florida. And her voiding the mask mandate covering airplanes and other public transportation as exceeding the authority of U.S. health officials. That was the big takeaway from that, exceeding the authority that U.S. officials have in implementing a mask mandate, following that up by saying the CDC didn't properly justify the mask mandate for public transportation, additionally saying that they did not follow proper rulemaking in all of this. Again, the CDC had recently extended the mask mandate, which was set to expire today, April 18th. It was set to expire today, but they extended that through May 3rd and said that they needed more time to study the Omicron subvariant that's out there right now, responsible for a lot of the cases that we've seen across the U.S. This decision impacting not just Tampa and Tampa International Airport, but of course impacting the entire country. And there are a lot of questions that we all have, I think, which is, what about a locality saying, when you get on our metro or our buses, you are going to have to. What about a private airline saying, yes, you need to wear a mask? Can that happen, or does this fall under that? These are all questions that we're asking, and we're hoping to get answers for you that we'll have for you on 10 Tampa Bay tonight at 5 o'clock, starting at 5, and then we'll answer throughout the 90-minute newscast. And if you have questions, please send those in. Again, let me just open this back up and see if I can get some of your comments here, because it comes in a little bit different at times. So let's see. Brian says, my body, my choice. And that is what a lot of the carriers have argued, in saying that this mask mandate on public transportation needs to end. A lot of the states, as we've seen, have rolled back a lot of the requirements that were in place, not just mask mandates, but other requirements that were in place, and states as well. Here in Florida, obviously, completely different situation, while there have been arguments on both sides, Governor DeSantis and the legislature quickly stepped in on mask mandates, and when it came to everything from, public places to schools as well. Debbie says that she's flying on Monday and sailing as well. She says that she's going to be wearing a mask in closed, crowded areas, including airplanes and elevators. Debbie, thank you for sharing that. And again, with this decision, it appears that it would be effective immediately, and therefore, unless there's another injunction by a higher court that were to come in. But she says that she's going to be doing that, and others as well saying that as well. And then Sarah, who's in the medical profession, saying, watch a COVID victim die, and you'll understand the importance of masks, is basically what she's insinuating right there. And then some other just, not nice comments, but others saying good. Looking again. And then Darlene saying, let's hope the airlines drop the requirement, and Mike pointing out, yes, that the airlines did want to, but that President Biden did not. This, of course, coming from the CDC, extending that mask mandate. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the one that makes the rules for mask mandates. And we've heard from President Biden saying that on public, when he eased back certain requirements, specifically saying that it would stay on, and this was more than a year ago, that it would stay for public transportation. And in the past few months, we've seen major airlines really banding together and say enough is enough, this needs to end, that passengers have the ability to make their own decisions when it comes to whether or not they want to wear a mask. Looking again through all of this to see if there are any other questions. Thanks for joining us, by the way, here on on our Facebook page on 10 Tampa Bay. We are, and again, working in the newsroom to get you the answers that you're asking for. And if you are just now joining us, just to give you, what you can see in the headline here on this post, which is that a federal judge here in Florida, in Tampa, a U.S. Middle District judge, saying that the national mask mandate covering airplanes and other public transportation, it is voided, that it exceeded the authority of U.S. health officials, and then coming down on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, saying that they failed to justify its decision, and also did not follow proper rulemaking. The CDC, initially the public mask mandate, public transportation mask mandate, it was set to expire for today, and the CDC moved that deadline to May 3rd, saying that they needed more time to study the subvariant of Omicron and see, what's going on with that, and that is obviously the predominant variant that's moving through right now. This mask mandate has been, for public transportation, has been something that many have really grabbed onto as well, and back and forth. Some saying this is great, others are saying no. Derek, I don't know where Derek is, but he says it's going around crazy here yet again. Do you mean, I don't know where you are, if you're talking about COVID? So Darlene saying the people of Florida had the most freedoms during the last 2 years thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis, unlike other states that tried to control lives. This again, not a state issue, but really obviously a federal issue, since the CDC and the Biden administration saying that there needed to be a public transportation mask mandate to impact airplanes, buses, trains, all public transportation, and airline carriers have been quick to present evidence saying that on modern airplanes that air filters are effective in making sure that the transmission of the virus on a flight is highly, quote, highly unlikely. Republican lawmakers have also fought this mask mandate and said that this needs to end, and at this point we do have a federal judge here in Tampa. Again, I gave you some background on her, U.S. District Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell, appointed by President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, and she has served on the bench in the Middle District since November of 2020, when she was confirmed by the Senate. And she's the one making this ruling. A lot of the cases do actually come through the Middle District of Florida, and then there are appeals. A lot of those appeals, just in talking with other attorneys that have worked on different cases, be it a vaccine mandate or mask mandates or whatnot, a lot have said, that it can then get appealed to the 11th Circuit, and that is something that potentially I would assume that the government could do. But right now, that decision coming down, and we're working to get the documents that we can go through all of that and read her ruling. It may not quite be posted yet, but that ruling did come down. All right, let's see. Any other questions or comments about this? And again, we have reached out and asked our airport if that means right now, at this moment, you walk into Tampa International, which you're seeing right here. Just give you a full shot. This is what it's looking like right now out at Tampa International Airport. You see a plane right there. Looks like it's landing. So does that mean if I walk into the airport right now that I no longer have to wear a mask because of this judge's ruling? That's the big question. So if you get on a bus, if you get on a train, if you get on an airplane, walk into an airport, do you have to wear a mask right now? And I want to show you this, so hold on one second. Great, thank you so much. So this is the full ruling from the judge. I have not had time to go through all 59 pages of this. It just got handed this. But this was the Health Freedom Fund, Inc., as well as others, essentially bringing their case against the president in his capacity as president, saying that there needed to be an end to the public mask mandate, or the mask mandate rather, on public transportation. Going through all of this, and just kind of looking, there's background. If I can get to, let me see if I can get to the very end. Usually that's where we have that. I'm going to give you, while I go through, again, going through all of these pages right now. Let's see. All right. This was the case that was filed. So again, awarding that. So basically, in conclusion, the judge writing, it is indisputable that the public has a strong interest in combating the spread of COVID-19. In pursuit of that end, the CDC issued the mask mandate, but the mandate exceeded the CDC's statutory authority and properly invoked the good cause exception to notice and comment rulemaking, and failed to adequately explain its decisions because, quote, our system does not permit agencies to act unlawfully even in pursuit of desirable ends. The court declares unlawful and vacates the mask mandate. So effective as of today, this mask mandate is vacated. Granting that vacate to those who brought this suit against the president. See, the court declares unlawful and vacates the mask mandate, remanding it to the CDC for further proceedings consistent with this order. The court directs the clerk to terminate, to enter final judgment in favor of the plaintiffs and to close this case. So ordered here again by the U.S. District Judge in Tampa. So reading this, it is effective immediately, is because she's vacating this. Now how that plays out, how that looks at this very moment, that is what we're trying to figure out and trying to determine. You know, has everybody been made aware of this? What are airlines doing right now? What are airports doing right now? Because obviously, if you've traveled recently, then you've gone into an airport, you've heard the speaker overhead saying it's a violation of federal law not to wear a mask in public transportation. Again, just gonna go back in and see, and like I told you, we are working on that. Jonathan says it's still going to be up to the airlines. They can keep them mandatory. Also, international flights are not governed by them. That is a good point. International flights not governed by the CDC, but once we're, in the United States, in airports, inside of an airport itself, not necessarily having to follow that mask mandate. But will be interesting to see if, when it comes to airlines, if there are airlines that choose to keep this in place, although many of the carriers did sign on and group together lobbying the president, lobbying the CDC to end the public transportation mask mandate. So I don't know that you would necessarily see that. Let's see. I don't know. Again, trying to see if I can find anything else on this. This again, the entire ruling right here, 59 pages. But at the end, the big finding at the very end from the judge, the ultimate order, saying in conclusion that the mandate exceeded the CDC's statutory authority. It improperly invoked the good cause exception to notice and comment rulemaking and failed to adequately explain its decisions because, quote, our system does not permit agencies to act unlawfully even in pursuit of desirable ends, and the court declaring this unlawful and vacating the mask mandate for public transportation. And that was signed today, so effective immediately. What happens next is what we're trying to figure out. Also, how all these agencies, these businesses, airlines, buses, trains, how all of that is implemented. We're working to find that out as well. And also, if in the ruling, the president was dismissed from the case, and ultimately saying that the CDC, needs to have further proceedings consistent with this order. So, likely the CDC working right now to get together and figure out how to do that, because they did extend that mask mandate through May 3rd. It was set to expire today, but now with this ruling, the mask mandate for planes, public transportation, vacated, out. And once we get those answers, of course, we're going to bring those to you. I think I've really tried to answer all of your comments or all of your questions here on our Facebook Live. We're going to have much more for you on 10 Tampa Bay. That starts at 5 o'clock tonight and goes through 6:30, and then we'll have much more on 10 Tampa Bay Nightside at 11 o'clock, again, working to get you answers and what this looks like for all of us, because this ruling here from the Middle District of Florida, a judge here in Tampa, making this ruling to end the mask mandate for public transportation impacts not just Tampa, but of course the entire country, and many of you who rely on public transportation, whether it's to fly or buses every single day. So we will get all of those answers for you, find out what comes next, and bring those to you on 10 Tampa Bay starting at 5 o'clock. And again, you can keep asking questions in the comment section, and we'll make sure that we try to get those to you, try to get those answers for you and respond to all of you as well. I appreciate you watching, and I think that really covers it. If you go into the link in this story, we'll likely be able to embed the entire ruling that came down, so you can read it for yourself if you're so inclined, because there is a lot of back and forth and a lot of case law and a lot of other interesting things when it comes to background, and of course the decision and why this judge made this decision, and also what the CDC did or did not do that they were supposed to. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all of your comments and questions, and then those of you who are flying out or flying the rest of the week or getting ready for summer vacation, will you be wearing a mask? When you get on a train, are you going to be wearing a mask? What about, if you use a bus daily, still going to wear a mask or not going to wear a mask? Glad that this happened. Drop your answers in the comments. Tell us why. We'd love to hear. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.